You're welcome to this episode of Mailbox, and we're here to take another question. My name is Wale Ekundayo. I'll be going through a couple of questions that have been sent into our mailbox, basically to deal them in terms of specific answers to those particular questions. So the first question for today is this. It says, I'm a 25-year-old residing in Lagos. I recently caught my boyfriend exchanging inappropriate messages with another woman on social media. What should I do? Now, there are quite a number of things to deal in this particular conversation, one of which is,
first of all, checking at people's, whether they are boyfriends or married and all of that. It's inappropriate in the first place. But now that we're here, it is important you have this particular conversation, because what is appropriate to people differs. So what is appropriate to your boyfriend might be inappropriate to you. And so you've got to have that conversation with him. Why is he doing what he's doing? Now, if there is a genuine reason, what I doubt if there will be anyone, right? But if there is some sort of explanation for what it is that he's doing, basically, then you can actually take a decision. And that's why he's your boyfriend for now, right? And so on those particular things, they are what they call red flags and stuff. Now, when people don't know that there are certain boundaries you don't cross, especially so we don't know the extent to which this inappropriateness is about. I mean, he might not consider it inappropriate and you consider it that inappropriate. So whatever the situation is, have the conversation. If the response from him basically speaks to what you are comfortable with, then it's something that you should consider. Otherwise, you've got to take a decision on that particular subject matter, whether to continue or not, right? And that's why you're dating for now, right? I hope that helps. Welcome back. The second question says, my wife of 10 years in Kwara suddenly says she doesn't love me anymore. We have 2 kids together. How do I win her back, right? There's several things that could possibly happen. You know, the same person who said I do to you when you started out basically have another position, which means that I don't love you anymore. Now, one of the major challenges most men actually positions they put themselves in whenever they get married is that they let themselves go. So you start growing pot belly. Maybe you had a flat tummy when you started out. You were saying nice things to her, buying her flowers. You know, you remember important days and all of that. So people don't just get to the point where they say, after 10 years, I don't love you anymore. It's essentially that. There were things that you were doing when you started in year 1 and you stopped doing when you got to year 10. You've got to reevaluate those things. Track back, all right? You used to be nice. Probably you write letters to her when you started in year 1, but you really can't remember the last time you did that. Have you consistently forgot your what's it called now? Wedding anniversary, all right? Or birthdays, for instance. Or you used to, for instance, when you get back home, maybe after drinking, do you brush your teeth? Because you don't just assume that the person likes the smell of alcohol when you show up. So there's several things that could lead to that. And it basically will mean that you have to retrace your steps. Now, these things cannot just happen or go away in one day. So now, having learned all of these things, you don't just stop all of those things in one day, for instance, and expect her to just welcome you with open arms. One of the major things you should know about women is consistency, right? If you're consistent in your dealing, whatever it is that you're doing, you've got to do that over a period of time. The reason why she said yes to you were she saw some things in you, and those things were critical to her, giving or committing her life to you in totality. Now, after 10 years, she realized, based on evaluation, that you don't seem like that kind of person again. You've got to go back into the gym. You've got to basically make yourself desirable again. Woo her all over again. If whatever it is it will take, then do that. And I hope this particular answer helps you. Next question. It says, we are an Oyo-based couple who argue over minor things. We're struggling with ego and hatred. Please help us navigate through these tough times. You know, the fact that you are able to diagnose your challenge basically helps a whole lot. The fact that you know that there is ego and there is hatred. Now, for any relationship to thrive, the moment you're able to diagnose what the major challenge is, then you've got to work at it significantly. If ego is the problem and you want your relationship, so at some point you have to make a choice whether you want to be egotistic about whatever it is that you're doing, or you really want the relationship to thrive. Now, like they say, ego in sometimes means edging God out. So there is a sense of pride that comes with you, and there is nowhere you have pride in any relationship that the relationship thrives. So at some point, somebody has to drop that pride or drop that ego and put it almost like a sacrifice, so to speak, and be ready to ensure that the relationship thrives, leave out all of those things. Now, some of these things are not that easy. One of the things we've seen in practical terms that allows your ego to die is the fact that you sacrifice it on the altar of prayer. The moment you begin, because there is absolutely no habit in human beings that can go by itself by self-will. If it will, a lot of people would have been fantastic people. The moment they say, this is my New Year resolution, I'm going to drop this habit, I'm going to drop that habit, but it never does. In fact, in less than 2 weeks, people are back to their old self again. And so the way it does is that, or the way it happens is that, now that you're conscious of what's triggering you, so to speak, you've got to sacrifice that. Relationships are on the bedrock of what you might call it now. Relationships are on the bedrock of forgiveness. So how does forgiveness work? Because people just come and say, oh, I forgive you. It doesn't happen that way. The object of your own forgiveness must be sacrificed. So if, say, for instance, somebody hurts you in a certain way, the only way you can forgive that person genuinely is that you go back into the place of prayer and begin to pray specific things over the life of that person. The moment you start uttering words that are dynamic, that are strong, that are rich, and you begin to prophesy into the life of that person, you start seeing every ounce of bitterness begin to dissolve. Forgiveness is not a statement, it is an action word. The action word in forgiveness means that you go into the place of prayer. If you can spend 1 hour praying for your spouse, and this is not you saying that, God, I want you to change him, I want you to change her. It is you going into the place of prayer and heaping every ounce of good measure, every ounce of prophetic word. If you can spend 1 hour in the place of prayer over that person, and you still feel some ounce of bitterness, take another time again and go back again and keep praying for that person until the entire bitterness or the entire thing dissolves, right? And this is the only way you can actually make your relationship work out. I hope that helps you. God bless you. Thank you so much on this other episode of Mailbox. Join us again on the next episode as we begin to deal with several people's conversation. God bless you. Peace.